Hi and welcome to another quick tip. On this one we're going to talk about 5 finishing touches that I usually do when finalizing my style frames. For this project we'll use the HP image that I created. Everything is in this point is just one for making it simple. So first one, color correction. I always like to add a bit of color correction, so let's duplicate the layer. Let's name it. Keep it everything cool, CC color correction. And the important thing here is to convert it to a smart object. This means it will be non-destructive. So the way that I add my color correction is to go by filter and select camera raw filter. So with this one, what I like is that you get a lot of options, so you can just go around and change. And for the purpose of this quick tip, I'm just going to quickly change a few of the parameters. There's a lot of options in camera raw filter, like tone curve, sharpening. We'll not use it from this one, and you can even as well change the hue and other things. But let's keep it at 0. And one final thing that I like to do is vignette. So if you go to this option and you can just slide it, and you see it's starting to get the vignette around the edges. So once you're happy, click OK. So now you can see this is the color correction. Let's call it to 1. And if I hide it, you'll see the difference. Cool. For the second tip, let's talk about blur and depth of field. So most of the times I already have them from 3D, but in this case I actually had this stuff on Photoshop and they're kind of like photo patching. So let's use the same layer, you can still do it. And let's go to filter, but this time let's go to blur gallery. There's different options, so I usually use the field one. So once it opens and loads, you see that everything is blurred and you have this kind of dot with a wheel. This is for how you control the blur. Let's put it 0 for now in the center, and you can pretty much just start putting points and you can control how much blur that influences, and you can do it the same on the right side. So let's start and just add a few around. You can also later on adjust them and move them around in their position, so just select and drag them. So there's more options. For example, you can change the bokeh, which we're not going to use on this one. And once you're happy, press OK, and here you go. Now, since I said before, this is a smart object layer, which means it's non-destructive. So we have all the filters we've been using. So if you want to change something in the color correction, you can just double click on it and you'll show up again, and you can change it. And this is what I meant by non-destructive. The same can happen with a blur. You actually realize you want to change stuff, you can go here and put, for example, less blur or more, or you can also change to another one. So let's, for example, try and do the tilt shift. So with the tilt shift, you'll see that there's still the dot with the wheel around it, but now you have this line, so you can rotate them and you can adjust the distance between them, and this will affect how the blur actually works. So once you're happy, again press OK, and here we go. Now we have the new depth of field. So for the third one, I like to add some sharpening. So let's start by duplicating the layer again. Let's name it Sharpening. And let's go to Filter, Other, and then I like to use High Pass. So with the High Pass, let me just zoom in a bit, so you can see better. There's this kind of white around it, and this is mainly like, I always like to use a smaller radius, it seems to work better. So once you're happy with it, you see, I mean, you're still seeing the gray, but now all you have to do is change the blending mode. I usually like to go for soft lighting or hard light. You can see that, I hope you can see the difference, but usually I don't go to 100%, I usually go like 85 or 80. And also, if you already have blur, don't forget to erase those from the sharpening because they're not supposed to be sharp. So for the fourth final touch, let's add some chromatic aberration. So for this as well, let's duplicate the layer, let's name it for chromatic aberration. And for this, let's actually go to effects and blending options. Now let me zoom in a bit so you can see what's actually going to happen. But on the blending options, you have a thing called channels. So let's remove a few of them, two of them, and then keep the red one. So pretty much all you have to do now is just move it. So move 1 pixel down, 2 pixels to the side. And if you see there's like this kind of red over there, you can go back and, for example, actually you wanted to change the blue channel or the green channel. In this case, I'll go back to the red. So obviously you can go crazy and you can shift it a lot, but I'll just change a little bit. For the final one, noise. So again, duplicate the layer, create a new layer actually, sorry, and let's name it noise. And what we're going to do is in the mode, instead of normal, let's do it overlay. Once you click on it, you'll see that now you have this new option. It seems like nothing happened, but it's actually 50% gray. So if we convert it to smart object layer and let's add noise, let me zoom in again. And you can start to see that if you start changing the slide, you actually see the noise there. And what I like again about this is that you can later on change the noise, and because it's also on the top layer, it means that whatever you change underneath, you will still always add the noise at the end. Thank you, hope you enjoyed.